everybody. Doug Mystic Eye here. Doug Mystic Eye on Board Game Geek. Doug to all everybody else, I guess. We're going to play what I think is a really special game. It's both educational, very, very challenging, cooperative, which holds a special place in my heart because I like cooperative games, and also touches on a subject matter that is a dark part of our history, but one that people could learn more about. That's Freedom, the Underground Railroad by Academy Games. Now in this game we're going to play, most of you who are gamers have probably seen this already, but if it's some of my other friends watching, in this game you play the part of an abolitionist trying to free slaves in America and get them northward to Canada, ranging from a time period of 1800 to 1865. The game plays out over a series of rounds. Either we lose by losing a certain amount of slaves to the slave market, or being caught, etc., or we free enough slaves, in this case 5 slaves in a single player game, which I'm going to play solo. Free 5 slaves from the board and get them into Canada where they are safe. I guess you can't play this game without touching on the subject matter at all, right? I mean, okay, I think it's a good game. I'm going to play it for the purposes of a good game. I also think it's quite educational, and I'll tell you why. All the cards, everything in the game has historical reference to it, and something you can read about. So, if your children are studying the period, or studying the Civil War or slavery in America, then this game will help them immensely, because it takes them through, walks them through in a very elegant way, a period of turmoil and strife in our country, where, just a dark black spot on our nation as it stands today. But I'm going to tell you, the game itself, I'll just give you an example. This is one of the abolitionist cards that are out currently, and need to get something with a nice solid back so I can show you more. But as you can see, there's little things on this. This is the Southern Church Correspondence. It actually has some historical. I'm not showing you the card though. There you go. Actually has some historical text on it that tells you a little bit about it. For instance, churches were often one of the few places slaves were allowed to congregate, allowing mail to be passed along. So the churches were used for the slaves to pass mail along, and basically this is a way for us as the abolitionists to make some money. And again, all the cards have something on them like that. They're also historical figures that play a part in the game, and there's lots of things that go over the rules specifically. I'll touch on the turn order, how the game is played, but you can see this is Theodore Weld, 1800 to 1839. He allows us to move 1 slave from any plantation to a southern space with no effect. It says that, just to give you an example, it says that, in the light on this, unfortunately, because I have to have my camera angled in a certain way, but it says, an architect of the abolitionist movement, Weld also co-authored American Slavery as It Is, testimonial of 1,000 witnesses. So, things like that, all kinds of stuff in this game that touches on this. The game itself is again a solo. It's a cooperative game, so you can play it solo, and that's what we're going to play today. And there's a setup for a solo game. Rules are very elegant and clean. The game is really difficult. I'm playing on the normal mode. There is a challenging mode as well, where you have to save more people in order to win. But we're just going to play it this way. So I'm going to get started by talking about the turn order. And again, I'll kind of tilt it so we can talk through it. Should be able to see it fine there. But basically, first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll the slave catcher dice and move slave catchers around the board. Now, you'll see how that works during gameplay, so it's not something I have to go into great detail about. Then we're going to go into our planning phase, where we're going to take, if we can afford them, we're going to take fundraising or not fundraising. You don't have to buy them, but you have to take your actions. Yeah, you can take any of the actions, any one of them, as many times as you like. But things like our Conductor tokens cost money. Fundraising tokens do not, and you can get buy and resolve abolitionist cards. You can gain the benefits of the player role card, which I'll talk about. We're going to be playing. I drew it at random. We're going to be playing the stockholder, and then we go into a slave market phase where more slaves are delivered to the plantations. That's a bad time for us. And then the lantern phase where all the cards are discarded and the abolitionist queue is refilled. That line of cards right there moves to the right. Up above there you can see how much those cards cost when we purchase them. And then ultimately there's a couple things we have to do to win the game. One is we have to get each of these tokens up here, the support tokens. They cost $10 each and they buy the support of the people. We have to get each one of those before we can move on to the next phase of the game, and we have to, in this game with the solo play, we're going to have to free 5 slaves. Now this is a play and learn session. I have read the rules, I've watched videos, but I have not played this game myself yet. So it's going to be a first time for us, and you'll get to see the challenges and upside to the rules, how clear they are, etc., along with me. So we're going to get started. I'm going to pause the video and get all set up to play. I considered doing this handheld, but I want the camera to be really steady so you can see what's going on. I may move the camera from time to time, give you a better position on the board, but as you can see, this board is huge. I'll back up so you can see the whole thing. Yeah, it's a pretty big board. It's got those, so way over here to the farthest right up on top you have our conditions for winning. You can see that if we lose 12 slaves, we lose the game. And if we free 5 slaves, we win the game. Below that you see the slave market cards, and those are going to come out as we go. And the populated slave markets that are there right now. And then we move over to the map, and we're going to be moving slaves from the plantation using the Underground Railroad to try and get them up to Canada, with each one success being one closer to victory for us. And all the meanwhile, those colored pawns out there are various slave catchers, and we have a die that basically we activate a certain slave catcher, and how many it moves toward the nearest slave that's along a track. There may not be a slave in the path, but along a very specified track for that slave catcher. And so basically, as we're trying to move people up through America up to Canada, we're going to have these guys trying to hunt us down along the borders of the American North. It's going to be challenging, very challenging. So we'll see. There's also cities where you can get some extra things done and collect money. If there's slaves that are hiding in the cities, then the abolitionist movement will give you some cash to help you along. We also have fundraiser tokens. So part of our play is our characters preparing to move people out of the country into Canada, and in doing that, that's when we're going to pick up the cards and the conductor tokens and do fundraising and see if we can make money to help the movement along. Conductor tokens give us extra movement, so we can move people along faster. Anyway, fascinating game. Challenging topic. I prefer to think that, and I hope that most people who've seen this game prefer to think of it as a great educational tool and a solid game that treats this sensitive topic very well. And so with that said, we're going to get moving. I'm going to just, I gave you a little rules overview, and you'll see each round as we play, so it'll be easier to understand. So with that, let's get started with our very first turn of Freedom, the Underground Railroad. So, before we get started, I do want to touch on our role and our role card as the stockholder. We got 2 sides, or 2 parts to this card. As you can see, the top part is an ongoing function. I can use that. I get to use that once per action phase, every action phase. I also get the plus $1 during the action phase in this card. If I use it, use the bottom half here where it says during your action phase, spend 3 tokens. I can do that, and then I flip the card. Now you notice now the bottom face has no ability. That's a one-time during the game ability, but the top part actually improves for me a little bit, where now I get plus $2 during the action phase, and once per action phase I can purchase a token after taking a fundraiser action. And you'll understand that as the game goes on. So that's the role cards. Also, we pan up, these roll cards also have all of the turn information on them. And we're just going to go over, and I'll just pan over and show you some of the special cards as well. This card here is a bad card. Basically, when these cards come out, and I'm trying to remember the term, what they call those cards, but these abolitionist cards, the red ones, are no bueno. They're opposition cards. They're something that they're the opposition to the abolitionist movement. So this one is reopening trade. We have to add 2 slaves to each slave market currently on the board, and we resolve that when it gets moved. Now you notice there's a $3 thing there, and obviously we're not going to buy that one. We could buy it to remove it from the table, but we probably want to let it go all the way down the board, because when removed, that event is going to occur. As we go along, you can see that they get cheaper as they head to the right, because every turn in a single player game we're going to take the right 2 cards and they're going to go away at the end of the round, and we're going to pull 2 more cards. As you can see, we got different. Each one of these cards gives us a different special ability. These ones with the white and gray back ones, those are slightly different. Those are the reserve cards. Now if we go back to our sheet, you can see there we have a reserve slot. We can always have 1 reserve card in place there, and we can play that card from a reserve, where you see it says at the start of the slave catcher phase, discard this card and skip the phase. So it allows us to skip 1 turn. There's a personal liberty law where the slave catchers are locked down for a turn. And then the other ones, give us other abilities like Lane Theological Seminary, allows us to move 2 slaves 1 space, or right there, or purchase a token at a $2 discount. And tokens range from $2 to $3. So if we purchase them, if we use this one early enough, we can purchase it for get a token for free, but the card itself costs $2, so it's not really that worthwhile until it gets down here, and then it'll allow us to save a buck on doing that. And then you see Theodore Weld there, and again there's text about the event at the bottom, but Theodore Weld allows us to move 1 slave from any plantation to a southern space. And then if you look at this one here at the end, and I'm just giving you an idea, we'll as we play them, I'll point them out too. The Southern Church Correspondence, each player receives $2 in the bank, and you just get to play that. Yeah. So, and I don't know if I don't know if I'm going to read the text on the bottom of every card, the historical text. I might leave that to you and see how we can play the game. I don't want to get too bogged down in trying to read historical information and lose track of turns and turn information. So I wanted to show you that. And again, this part here is the board, this first section of the board where we're going to do our planning, and then we're going to move over to our main board where we're trying to get the slaves, which represent the little cubes up to the Canada there. So let's get started with turn 1. Alright everybody, so for the first part of turn 1, you look at the order of play. The first thing we do is we do the slave catcher phase. So to do that, we take these 2 dice and we roll them, and we'll look at the results. Okay, so what you can see is there's a purple one, the purple oblong or whatever it is, and it's going to move 3 along the black path. So we're going to go here, we're going to scooch up to see it, and there he is. That's him. He's in the city of Washington, D.C., and you notice that there's these arrows, so he's going to move on the black path 3. So the arrows take him 1, 2 to here, and 3 up to Boston. So sorry about that, guys. Really bumped the game hard there. Sorry, apologize. My bad. There he is. He moved up to Boston, and that's where he's going to stay. There weren't any slaves in the place he landed on, so none are caught. That's basically the entirety of the slave catcher phase. Now we're going to move to the planning phase. Now, during the planning phase, we get to take, buy, purchase, take things. By the way, I just want to show you this. It came with the Kickstarter version of the game. It's really cool. It's this little first player lantern, like the lantern they're holding in in the cover artwork as they're sneaking along the railroad. But anyway, we can buy anything from the 1800 to 1839 column, and once we buy the because single player games there's only one. Once we buy the support token, the gray token at the top, that's going to end that period, showing that the abolitionist movement has advanced. But it's $10. We only start with 8, so we're definitely not doing that this turn. I think what we will do though is we're going to first, in the planning phase, we're going to spend $2, and we're going to get a conductor token. So you can see this conductor token allows for 3 slaves to move 1 space. And then I think you know, we can buy 2 tokens. We don't have to play them all at once either. So I don't see the point in not buying a second conductor token at this point in the game. You could also man, let me think. I got to think about this. Being the first time I played it, I really need to put some thought into our turns because I know this game is difficult. Okay, yeah, I'm going to purchase another, which will give me 3 coins back. Another, got a 5. Conductor token. I mean, they're going to be the same, but it gives me 2 of them. I have one in reserve. I'm going to use one. It says you may take any or all of the actions, following actions in any order, but each one. So I could play a conductor token and/or fundraising token. There's no point in playing a fundraising token, and I'll tell you why. So I think that's going to be my action phase. Now we'll move. I'm sorry, my planning phase. Where I purchase some tokens. Now we're going to move to the action phase. Okay, so my action phase is going to come in 2 parts. The first thing I'm going to do is take the action of my character, which is the stockholder's ability to take $1 during the action phase. I'll just have that on hand. The second part to that is we're going to utilize our conductor token and use a conductor to usher some folks up through the spaces. It allows us to move 3 slaves 1 space. So I'm going to go to the other board and we're going to show you what that looks like. So as you can see, all the slaves currently are in the plantations here, and with this token we can move 3 of them 1 space. So I think might as well start by, let's take one up to here. This is the 2 bigger plantations, but this one's full, so we want to move, say, one up to here. And if we move one up to here, they're already in a space for, I don't know if you can see the spots I'm talking about. Let me just arc it up just a little bit there. If we move them into this space here, there is a risk of that the slave catcher on that path coming down there. Of course, I think the only one that's not, there's only 2 spots that aren't at risk. And I don't know if we're going to move to them, but I get to move 1 more. And if I put him on there, the yellow one, okay, yeah, let's do that. We got some more room in these, but not in this one, so we're going to move 1 more here. And what that's going to do is, you see this orange guy here, this orange slave catcher, he's along an orange path that connects directly to this guy. So he's going to automatically move 1 down. And that's going to happen each time a slave enters a space there. Now, if we had a what they call a fundraising token right now, I could have spent it. Actually, I couldn't spend it. Could I? Can play a yeah, okay. So I could have played a fundraising token after that and gotten $3 for the 3 folks in the green space that we're trying to get up to Canada. But that is going to be the use of my conductor token. That is now gone. And let me see. Let me think about it and see if there's anything more I can or want to do. I do believe. Well, you know what? I do. There is something I want to do. I'll show you what that is. Okay. So this card here, which is a reserve card, is $1. It's my personal liberty law. Allows me to back it up some so you can actually read it. It'll focus in on the card. There we go. It basically allows me to, at the start of the slave catcher phase, discard the card to skip the phase. That's going to go in my reserve slot, I'm sure, and I'm going to spend $1, and I'm sure that's going to be useful later. I believe that is going to be the end of my action phase. I do not have I don't want to use my roll card yet. I don't have a fundraising token yet. So we will move on from there to the slave market phase, and I'll show you how that works. So during the slave market phase, we're going to take the slaves from these slave markets here, and they're going to transplant to the plantations. Now you can see that there are a total of 6, and that did free up enough spaces in the plantation to fill them. Because if we ever can't, then those are lost slaves, and they count toward our not only are we losing people, which is terrible, but we're also losing the game at that point. So on this first slave market card, we're going to take the 6 that are here, and then this card's going to be removed. We're going to place the 6, so I'll slide over here, onto the 3 plantations. Back up just a little bit. And I can do that in any fashion that I want. So we'll place the other 2 back here. We got a lot of empty room up here, so we're going to place 3 here. And then I have 1 left. I can place it over here in this plantation. But we know now we got to take care of this one here because it is chock full of people. We got to get some people moving out of there as quickly as possible. Okay, so now we go back over here and we slide this down. This becomes the next one we're going to deal with. Luckily, it only has 4. So does the next one, and the next one only has 4. And we're going to take 4 more cubes that represent our people and put them on the spaces here. So as these markets come down, they're going to repopulate the plantations in the south. Essentially, I'm just going to double check, because again this is our first time playing this. I'm going to double check to see if that is it, and I believe that is it for that phase. Then we're going to go to the lantern phase, and that's the last phase of the game, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so yeah, that was it. That's all we had to do was get those plantations filled up, and then we move on to, now there'll probably be more action as the game goes on, but we're going to move on to this phase. Now what happens in this phase is this card here, the first card, comes off. Now if there was a card here, I didn't purchase it, it would also come off, and it exits the game. And then we move all these 3 down, and we replace them with 2 more cards from the era that we're in, and we got one called Ripley, Ohio, and Liberty Hill. The Ripley, Ohio one looks pretty cool, actually. It says, move 2 slaves 1 space each. They do not trigger a slave catcher action, so that's a pretty effective card if we got one of our people in the path of a slaver that might get caught, because we certainly don't want that. Now remember, if there's no spaces in the plantations, we get into trouble, so we got to be very, very careful about that. Anyway, that's going to end. That's it basically. That is the entire. That's one entire round. So we're going to go on to the next round, and we only have so much time to do this in. So we'll go on to the next turn. Okay, so now we go back to our second turn planning phase. By the way, one of the other triggers of the game is when we run out of slave market cards. There's basically going to be 8 cards in the slave markets, and if we run out of those, that's another trigger for the end of the game, and we lose if we haven't completed our victory condition by then. So in this phase, the planning phase, slave catcher phase, let's do that first. Here's our dice for the slave catchers. I'm going to roll them, see how this goes. Okay, so we're going to move the orange circle, or red circle, 1 along the white track. So it is going to move here. I'm going to pan up on the board and show you. He moved to right there, and that is where his location is currently. Now you can see that we are in trouble in that area, because if we move, well, we're not in too much trouble. Actually, I moved him incorrectly. I apologize. Let's look at that. He's going to move along the white path for the orange. So he's actually going to move this way. That's the white path for the purple, or blue I guess it is, or purple. Gosh, blue, because purple is actually darker. He's going to move way up here. He's looking way up here. He's off base. That actually helped us a lot. So I'm not going to complain too much about that. But that does not mean that we're not going to have some movement. Anyway, that's going to end the slave catcher phase, and now we're going to move on to our planning phase. So I'll just pan over here. I won't stop the film from rolling because our actions are pretty simple. Let me back up here. Okay, now you got a clear view of the board. We're going to, for our actions phase, we are going to take another $2 for our planning phase, get another token, and buy get a fundraising token, which I'm throwing all over the place, so that we can do some fundraising in this next action phase. Okay, and that's that's all we can do. We can take 2 tokens. So that is what we're going to do for that phase. Now we're going to move on to our actions. Okay, so here we are back at the main board, and we're going to continue to make some movement here. So first we're going to play our conductor token. Oh, actually, first thing we're going to do for our action phase is use our stockholder's ability to get $1. Then we're going to play our conductor token here. And let's see where we're going to move. Now, I think he's so far away. This is just beautiful. The purple guy. And he's like... Oh, man, you know what? When I did his movement before, I think I moved to him along the wrong space. He was supposed to move along the black-purple space. It looks like that's the black space right there. So he started here. So where should he be if he moves through? 2, 3, and along the purple space. If I move him along the purple space here, now I don't know where he goes. I guess he goes. He doesn't go anywhere. He can only go on the white space here. I see. So he didn't actually move. He's still right there. Okay, that makes some sense because he couldn't go any farther in that direction over there than he could have. So again, we're learning. It's going to take us a little time to figure it out, but we're back with our movements. So we got 3. Again, we got a conductor token. We can move 3 people 1 space. I'm going to move 1 here. We'll move this one here. Again, that's the purple. Definitely the purple space there, so this guy's going to move there along the purple space. That's 2. We'll move... You know what the problem with that is? Well, it says it's a green. Yeah, that's St. Louis. So when we stop there, we're going to get $2. It says when you stop them there, they get $2. And then we're going to get to move a 3rd one. If we move this guy here, the purple guy is going to move twice. But if we move one of these guys here, no one moves anywhere. So we'll do that. Okay, that's that one. Okay, now I got another conductor token I could play. I think we're going to play it because we got to get some people moving. We're going to end up in some seriously hot water. Actually, this guy, when this guy moved here, I see he's on the black space, so the black catcher would have moved there. This one doesn't have anybody tied to it. I can move him along here the ship lane for $1, but I need to build up and get our support token as well, so I can't spend all our money. I am going to do a fundraising this turn, so I want to get some people on the right spaces. So let's do this. We are going to first, we're going to have 2 movements of the orange guy. So playing our 3rd token, we're going to move this guy here. That's going to move him here. It's getting a little scary for us. Okay. I'm going to move, no, I'm not going to move him there. I'm going to move him here. That's 2. Take it back. I'm going to move him here. This will move this guy way from up here back to Chicago. And then I will take another one and move him here. We're getting a little risky because we're moving the one catcher back down to here along his path. He could end up getting those 2 guys, but this is going to be important for us because, let me see, if I do that, can I play? I need to look at the rules again just to be sure. I want to make sure if I can play. It says you may play up to 2 conductor tokens and or fundraising tokens. So I could play up to 2 conductor and fundraising tokens. So I played my 2, so I won't be able to play my fundraising yet. I'll have to wait till next turn. Okay, so I played 2 tokens. Now I do have some money, and we do have a couple of good cards there. So I can spend $1 and get another slave out of a plantation, but all the spaces out to the plantation are covered. That would be this one. Or I can do this one, Lane Theological Seminary. I can move 2 slaves 1 space or purchase a token at a $2 discount, which means I could purchase a token for nothing. There's also this one, which is $2, Ripley, Ohio. I can move 2 tokens, 2 slaves 1 space each. They do not trigger. I think we're going to do that because we are going to raise funds next turn. going to take $2. Going to buy the Ripley, Ohio card. Now these cards with the brown backs get played immediately. So I'm going to move 2 more of our slaves 1 space without any effect. So we're going to move 1 here, and we'll move 1 up there, and that's going to cover us for effect. And that's going to end our, this card gets discarded. That is going to end our action phase for the turn. We've done everything I think we can do. Bought a card, got my benefit. Yeah, okay, that's going to be it. We're going to move on to the next phase, which is the slave market phase. Okay, here we are at the slave market. We have 4 slaves that need to go to plantations. So we're going to just pan this way, and we're going to place them out. I think we'll just do 2 here. Actually, I think I'm supposed to take them from the bottom. So we'll do 1 here, there. All these need to be out. This one needs to stay there too. And I'll do 1 here and 1 here then. Okay, and that is going to end that card. So we're going to go back over. This card's going to go. This one's going to move down. These 2 will move down. And then we're going to draw our next one out. And it has 6 on it. That's not good. That's a lot of people we have to contend with. Hopefully we'll just think if we had that now, we would have completely filled up the plantations again. As it stands, we have 2 empty spaces after all that movement. Shows you how difficult this card is, or this game is. So that is going to end our action or slave market phase. Now we're going to go to the lantern phase. Not much is going to happen in this phase. We don't have our conductor, our support token gone. We are going to remove these 2 cards. Unfortunately, we're going to slide this one down. That means next turn that is going to trigger. I'm going to slide these 2 cards down, and we'll take these out. Samuel Joseph May, the Liberator, and Josiah John Henson. So Samuel Joseph May, that's a new one. You gain $1 for any slave space connected, any slaves and spaces connected to New York. I don't have any of those right now, so that's not a very good card for us. The Liberator, place 1 card in the abolitionist queue back on top of the Currents Age abolitionist deck. I could take that. Yeah, well, I have to buy the card for $2, but wow. And then just Josiah Henson, move 2 slaves up to 2 spaces each. So those are pretty good cards. And that's going to end our round for this phase. So there, we don't have victory conditions, and we haven't lost any slaves yet, but I think we're about to if we don't do something pretty clever. Anyway, we're going to move on to our next turn, turn 3. Okay, so here we are. We're at the slave catcher phase. There's our dice bowl right there. I'm going to play this card, though. At the start of the slave catcher phase, discard this card to skip the phase. We're skipping because we got too many people in too many vulnerable positions. So we are going to use that card. That card came in very handy and at a very opportune time. So we're going to move immediately to our planning phase. Okay, there's only 1 gray token. This is the gray token, and basically when this is used, it automatically keeps going back to the board now after each use. But I am going to purchase it, and these ones are all these ones are out of the game. So we're out of conductor tokens, out of the normal or other conductor tokens, and we're going to spend $2. At least it's with $1, but I'm going to do some fundraising, and I got lots of people. So yeah, let's do that. Okay. That was our token purchase. We can't purchase anything else, so we are done with our planning phase for this turn. Okay, now, if you recall, the first thing that happens during the action phase is we get $1 for being a stockholder. We're a money maker. And then one of my special ability is once per turn I can buy after using a fundraising token. If I get some people moving, I think I can have every green space filled up, except for 1 because the slave catcher will get him. And yeah, I'll be able to make a decent amount of money at that point. I see a different move I should have made out here. I should have moved this guy up to here last turn instead of this guy up to here. He was safe because the purple guy has to come all the way across, but the orange fellow only has to get, the orange slave catcher only has to get right there. However, I could move him I could move him there, then the red one will come down to here, and I will have him in a space where he'll make some extra money for me in Ripley, Virginia, I guess, or Ripley, Ohio, sorry. Yeah, I could do that. So anyway, let's start with this. We're going to use our conductor token, our last one that we have there. That goes back on the board because it's the gray one, the last one that's there. You can always use that one. And we're going to move some folks. Okay, so if I move, man, it's right in the middle of a whole bunch of trouble. Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to move, I don't know if you can see the whole board. Yes, you can. I'll just, yeah, you can see we're going to move this guy up here, one up here, and that's going to activate this guy to move there. So what we can't do is move another guy here because he'll be captured. We have to be very careful. This spot here does not have a catcher in it. So I can move him here. Oh, by the way, moving him there gets me $1 after I moved him. Moving this, wait, let's not do that. Move a second guy here. Yeah, we'll move a second guy there. And for a third action, man, we need to fill up as many of these spaces as we can. I'm going to take him and move him here. This is a purple path. So you can see the purple guy's here, so he's going to move up that way. Okay, that was our conductor token. Now I am going to play our fundraising token. Let me think about this for just a second, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, so yeah, we're going to use this fundraising token. It's the only one we have for this turn. That's going to give us $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7. Sadly, not enough. And I only got one guy into a space that's going to give me any money. 5, 6, 7. Oh wait, we do have 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, well, good news. We're going to be able to buy our support token, move into the next era, next turn. Yippee. Okay, that will, you know what this says? My special ability, you know, once per action phase, purchase a token after a fundraising action. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend 10, 5, 6, 7. That's all our money, though. I won't be able to do anything next turn but raise money. That is not cool because we have to get 4 slaves out, and I just realized I shortchanged this one without being out having to. Frustrating. Oh yeah. But if I buy that now, what happens? Well, I won't be able to buy that card that'll allow me to remove that red. See, and we're going to add each slave to 2 slave market card currently on the board. 2 slaves to each slave market card currently on the board. So that means we get to, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's going to happen. Okay, I need to really think about this. I'm going to turn off while I contemplate my demise already. Okay, I am going to use that, but I'm not going to buy sadly, not going to buy our support token this moment. I'm going to spend the $2. I'll show you what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to take the $2. Let me go back over to here, show you what I'm going to do. Getting rid of these $2 to buy this card, the Liberator. Place 1 card in the Abolitionist queue back on top of the Abolitionist Age deck. Current Abolitionist Age deck. Now, how's this going to benefit me? Well, I'll show you. Okay. Yeah. I'm doing that, and I'm taking that one, and I'm going to put it on top there. Yes, it's going to come out again, but it's going to come out at the back of the line, sort of. And it'll give me another turn without that thing coming up. I can still purchase a token, so I'm going to spend those more, take this token, and that will be, I mean, I'll have spent 2 tokens for the turn. That leaves me with $6. I got to get 4 more this turn somehow. We'll figure out how we're going to do that. I think I can cash in something here. I could use my ability, spend 3. Hey, guys. No, that's not going to work. I thought I had a plan, but it wasn't a good plan. So anyway, what I can do is flip this. Allows me to spend a third action. I think I'm going to do that. So I can spend this token again. God, I hope I'm doing that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like it would work that way. And that's going to give me 3 movements again. So I can move 1 to here, bringing this slaver to here. It's kind of risky. I definitely can't move, and also, by the way, getting me $2 more. So that gives me 5, 6, 7, 8, or 8. I can do 2 more. I got 2 more. Oh, sorry, I'm focused on the wrong part of the board for you there. Let's go over here. This takes a lot of thought, guys. I can take this one and move him to Charleston. Here, there's no slave catcher movement there. That gives me 2. I have 1 more movement. And I know what I'm going to do with that movement. He's in the path of this one here. That's kind of scary. I don't want to lose people. So I'm going to move him there. Now, what does that do? It doesn't do anything for him because that's the red spot. It moves him down to here, but it also gives me another $1. Yeah, see, this is starting to pay off for us a little bit. And it'll allow me to do something pretty cool next turn, I think, to get some people out of the way of some bad guys. Now, it does say that, at times, it's one of the hard parts about this game, knowing the theme of it, you know that these are people you're moving around, and you're thinking, God, I don't want them to get caught. But, it is what it is. And I needed that $1 too. But anyway, that was what? Yeah, those are my 3. So that's going to end that action phase. This is a pretty active action phase. Let's go on to our then slave market phase. This is going to be brutal, guys. Brutal. Okay. Let's go. Okay, here's our slave market cards. This bottom one here has got 4 people on it. So we're going to come back over to the plantations. We're going to put 2 here. 2 here. They're full again. Gosh, man, we just can't get these emptied out. Whew. Brother, I tell you, I still don't have enough money to do what I need to do. Yeah, and it's full. We can't afford to lose a whole bunch of slaves. But here we go. Here's what we're going to do. This card goes away. This one moves down. This one moves down. Oh my God, another 6 comes up. Big markets. Big bad markets coming. So we're going to have 3 people here. 3 people up here. Whew. Yeah, I'm going to guess that we're not going to win our first game, but we're going to try. Okay, that's going to end the slave market phase, then we're going to go to the lantern phase. Okay, here we are. We're going to take this card that's going to go away. We're going to move all these down to here. Of course, that one, see, is out again. But good news here, you can only have 1 of these per round, so we get to draw another card, or 1 of these come out in a round. That one just came out. And there we go. What does Levi Coffin do? During a player's action phase, ignore the movement of 1 slave catcher. If they would capture a slave, discard this card. Well, that's helpful. We also have this one allows us to move 2 slaves 2 for $1. It's almost better than some of the other tokens we have. And the only token I have available to me is the gray. I put it in the wrong spot. This gray one here. Okay. Let me think as we move into our planning phase, and I'll be right back. This is probably the last turn for this video, too. We'll play it into the second video. Okay, guys. So for our action phase up here, all we're going to do is spend $2 to buy this 1 conductor token. Then I have a card I'm going to buy during the action phase that's going to help us out. Now, I also get... so that's it for my planning phase. That was the whole thing. Now, I get $2 now because we used our special ability here, and so we flip the card, and now I get $2 every time. That's helpful because now it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I can get $10, I can buy the support token next turn. We're going to use this here, and I'll go to the board over here and show you what we're going to do. And again, I think this is going to be the last turn for this video. It's going to be a kind of long video if I keep going. With our 3 movement, I got to get the people moving here. Okay, so for 1, we're going to move one guy here. That's going to give me $1. It's also going to move this guy along this track, 1 away from him, and I get $1. Okay. We're also going to move this one up to here. The problem is I'm not getting him off of here, which is bad news. And that is also going to give me $1 because I have to get that token so we can move on to the next stage and get better shit. I'm going to have to lose some slaves this turn. Unfortunately, I see it coming. And then for my 3rd movement, yeah, because I'm going to only be able to move 1 off a plantation. I got to move. Well, no, wait. Yeah, leave that alone. I'm going to get. Okay, so my next one is going to be to take. Let's take one from here and put it there, and that's going to use my conductor token for the turn, and then I'm going to spend $1 to purchase Josiah Henson. It allows me to move 2 slaves up to 2 spaces each. This is cool because I can get, yeah, so 2 spaces each. I'm going to take this guy here, move him to here, that's 2. And that's going to give me another $2. This is helpful. I'm going to burn that card, which is okay. And I'm still not going to have to do the reopening trade card. And who knows, maybe I can get rid of it again somehow. Now I have one more move I can make. I can't move anybody in this spot here that one slave catcher is going to get him. I can't move anybody here. The orange one's going to get him. I can... However, wow, man, this is so tough. Wow. Well, wait, no, he's a red guy's here. I can't do that either. Man, anywhere I go, I'm going to lose somebody, except for right here. So, I guess I can move them too. So I got to look and see if I can skip people over one another. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can or not. Okay, it says a slave can't finish its movement in one of the oval spaces, but the 2 slaves can be in one of the circular spaces. Yeah, so what I can do, I can't do that either. Man, this is such a mess. It depends on where I end the movement. I'd love to get a guy to a 2 space that can get me some money. I could, but it's going to sacrifice one of them, and I don't want to do that. And I can't do the ones I've already moved. And I'm going to get one of them into Canada next turn, which is pretty nice. Oh, yeah, actually, when he moved there, this red guy moved up to that one there. So now I could, if I move this one up to here, that'll free up a space to... I'm going to lose some people this round. I've already figured that out. But if I move him up to there, that's going to give me another $1 and set me up. With this guy going to here, hopefully he doesn't move again. So my memory filled up right when I finished my move. Luckily it was my last move. I had everybody in place. I had 3 moves left. I did 1, 2, yeah, 3, yeah. So that basically ended the movement phase. I got to go back and review that. I'm pretty sure I did 3. I got this guy up to here, yeah, because that's why I have so much money. So I moved him to there for $2. Yeah, okay, got it. So yeah, I was recording and then I heard it go bloop, and it told me my memory was full. So anyway, lastly, we are going to do. We're going to lose 3 people this turn. That bites. And then we got 6 next turn. So we're going to have some hefty movement. But let's continue on. We're going to, yeah, we're going to stop there. That's going to end our action phase. I've done everything I can do. It actually was a really active turn. I don't have anybody adjacent to New York, so buying that card wouldn't do any good. Okay, yeah, so that's going to end that. We're going to go into the slave market phase and then the lantern phase, and we're going to end this session at that point. So here's the slave market. Now, we got these 4 people here. Here's the bad news. Bad, double bad news. I get to place one of them here, and these 3 are going back over here, unfortunately. Man, I hope we, again, my first game of this, we'll see how it goes. I don't think I'm doing all that great. But anyway, that's going to be the slave catchers, or the slave market piece. We're going to move these 2 down, and another one's going to come up. Look, we only got a couple more left to go. This one's got 5 people on it. We only got 2 more to go after this. How do I get 5 people into Canada with all these people coming out before I lose the game? I do not know. I do not know, but we're going to try. Okay, so that was slave catchers phase. Now we're going to go to lantern phase. Sorry, I said slave catchers, meant slave market phase. Anyway, Samuel Joseph May is going to go away. This one is going to be our first card up next turn. It is going to hit us unless we can do something miraculous. Plus we have the Farron Riots, which will come up. And St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Move 1 slave from a large northern city to Canada. Well, I can do that anyway. I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out as valuable. I'm sure it will at some point. But anyway, that's going to end our session. When next we pick up, we'll be going right to the slave catcher phase, and hopefully we have enough. We definitely have enough money. Yeah, we have enough money to do a few things, so we are going to definitely be able to get our support token and move into the next phase of the game. So thanks for watching, and we'll get this uploaded soon.